So, Blaze AI is a popular AI marketing tool that can create content for you, manage your social media, plan different campaigns, and so much more. And they went through a major update recently where they've now called this Blaze AI Autopilot. And so, in this updated review of Blaze AI, I'm going to tell you what I like, what I don't like, the different pricing, and who this AI tool is ultimately for. So, be sure to stick around until the very end. And if this is your first time to the channel, welcome. My name is Ryan. I appreciate you being here, and I help founders and executives leverage AI by scaling content, saving time, and ultimately building a strong personal brand online. And if you want to know my favorite AI tools, prompts, and even automation templates, be sure to get my free AI Marketing Essentials Guide. You can find the link for this in the video description or pinned comment below. Now, a few disclaimers to be transparent with you guys. Number one, Blaze AI did not pay me to make this review. I want to be very clear about that. Yes, I do have an affiliate link, and so if you do want to try Blaze AI using my link below this video, of course I do get some kickback from that, but the team at Blaze did not actually pay me to make this video. My first review of Blaze AI was so popular that I decided that that's what a lot of you guys want to see, so why not make an updated review as the tool has fundamentally changed. The other important disclaimer here is that they did provide me with a free account with all the bells and whistles. That way I could properly test everything and look at all of it to ensure that I am giving you the best review that I possibly can. And I also want you guys to realize that I am flooded with dozens of requests every single day from AI tools wanting me to do reviews just like this one. So I have to be extremely careful and vet all of these tools to make sure that A, they are high quality, and B, that they're going to actually provide value for the audience watching my videos. And Blaze AI definitely is up there, in my opinion, in terms of quality AI tools for marketing. They've clearly invested millions of dollars into this tool, not only on the interface, the functionality, the marketing. And so there's definitely a lot of benefits that if you're using this correctly, you should be getting an ROI and a lot of value from this. And I'm going to talk about that in this video. So the first thing I want to cover in this Blaze AI review is this big transition of Blaze moving from a Copilot marketing tool to now an autopilot marketing tool. And if you visit their website, which you can find a link for this below this video, you'll notice the term autopilot being mentioned not only everywhere on their website, but just in their marketing and branding overall. And so what exactly do I mean by this transition from Copilot to autopilot? Well, most AI tools that I'm using, that you're using, especially in the content creation and marketing space, are Copilot AI tools, meaning that there is still a lot of human in the loop involved, paired with AI assistance, of course, to get those final outputs. And that's what Blaze originally was in its previous product that I talked about in my original review, where you still had to have a lot of human in the loop when it came to planning out content, scheduling content on your social media calendar, for instance, coming up with titles, generating images, even the steps that it would take to repurpose content from a long form variation, right? Those are just a few examples of how this would be considered a Copilot marketing tool where a human in the loop is still involved. And now Blaze has taken this transition to becoming an autopilot marketing tool where it's automatically creating assets that look like this throughout my various social media accounts. And it's doing this based on the inputs that I provided in my brand kit at the very beginning when I set up my Blaze AI account. This would be through your website. This would be through any images you upload, writing samples, list of AI words and phrases you want to avoid. And I'm going to talk about all of that later on this video when I show you how to set up Blaze AI for the first time. But that is the transition of where Blaze AI is headed and what I mean from going from a Copilot solution to an autopilot solution. Now, the next thing I'm going to cover in this Blaze AI review is pricing, as pricing, of course, is always one of the most important factors to consider when evaluating AI tools. The very first thing to call out is that the price of Blaze AI did increase to $65 a month to start with. If we look at the old version of Blaze AI, their Copilot version, this started at $34 a month on that creator plan. But what I will say, though, is I really like how the team at Blaze AI simplified their new pricing structure for Autopilot. We only have a monthly, 3 month, 6 month, 12 month, and 18 month, where every single one of these tiers, you get the exact same features. You just get it at a discounted rate the longer your subscription period is. So on the annual plan, you get 30% off, which equates to $46 a month versus that original 65. Versus the previous pricing structure of Blaze AI, it was very confusing, very convoluted to try to figure out, well, what features and how much usage do I get between the creator, the pro, the startup, the agency, and they just made it very confusing. So I like how they simplified it. And best yet, Blaze AI did keep their 7-day free trial even with this new Autopilot version. So if you want to test it out, again, I do have a link in the description or pinned comment below where you can try Blaze AI for free on that 7-day free trial. And if you like it, I would maybe recommend investing $65 just to see if you can actually use this for your business, for your agency, or whatever your situation is. Now, for agencies and larger organizations who need more than what Blaze AI is offering right here, they do have some advanced subscription tiers such as Agency Partner. So you get 10% off when you have more than 5 different workspaces and other support packages. They also have an Enterprise Partner tier for those teams that are obviously larger and ready to scale that starts at $4.99 per month billed annually. And with the Enterprise Partner tier, you get custom training, security controls, and flexible billing like they state right here. And so quickly looking at the different features you get with a $65 a month plan to Blaze AI, you get the following: one workspace, fresh content every week, custom strategy for your business, get smarter every day. So by that, it means it's analyzing your past analytics and historical posts and then making adjustments for the future. So I like that. Post while you sleep, weekly growth reports, real human support 24/7. And the other thing I forgot to mention is that in these longer tiered subscriptions with 12-month or 18 months, you get these bonus features. So you get a monthly mastermind strategy call. I would imagine that's with people on the team at Blaze AI to help you moving forward, a 365-day growth planning, premium content library. So I would imagine that's more premium images or premium videos, and also direct access to marketing experts. I'm not really sure what that means, but that honestly is very interesting. If I'm a business and I don't know what I'm doing from a marketing standpoint, maybe that's a great feature you want to try on an annual plan. I'm just throwing that out there. Now, one thing I do want to say though, is when looking at the features for the monthly, 3-month, or 6-month tier, one thing I guess I don't really like in this particular instance is there's not a lot of transparency on how many AI words do I get? How many posts do I get? What AI models are being used to generate copy or images? And the reason I'm saying that is on the previous version of Blaze AI, on their Copilot version, they talked about limitations here: 100K AI words, 30 posts per social, right? And so what I'm gathering here is that maybe there aren't any limitations and maybe you get unlimited posts or unlimited words. And that would be great. And if that's the case, I would like Blaze AI to clarify that under these different features that you get. That's just something quick that I wanted to call out. But in general, I will say it appears you get a lot more on this Blaze AI Autopilot for $65 a month than what you would get on their original creator plan, which costs $34 a month, or even some of these other tiers like Pro, for instance. So I wanted to call that out as well. And the last point I want to make on Blaze AI is for those who are viewing the $65 a month as expensive. Yes, I know it's more than the previous Copilot version of Blaze AI, which was $34 a month, and it's more than your average AI marketing tool, which costs probably between $15 to $30 a month on average, if I had to guess. But one thing I would strongly consider you to do is compare this to a premium social media management platform like a Hootsuite, for instance, which starts at $149 per month per user on the very standard plan. Their advanced plan costs $400 per user, or even a Sprout Social, which costs $79 a month per seat on their basic essentials plan. So that's what I would strongly recommend if you're looking at that price point as expensive. Think about the Hootsuites and the Sprout Socials of the world that are charging double that for, in my opinion, less usage and less features. I'm not sure how these premium social media management platforms still exist in the age of AI and vibe coding, in my opinion. But when you're comparing Blaze's pricing to that, I think it is a very good deal in that perspective. Now, the next thing I'm going to cover in this review of Blaze AI is its user interface and also the features that you get on any standard Blaze subscription. And for those who have used the previous user interface of Blaze and its Copilot version, it's going to look very similar on the Autopilot version. And I actually like that a lot. I think the user interface is one of Blaze AI's best features. I think it's easy to navigate. It's easy to find different things you're looking for. It's very functional compared to a lot of other AI tools out there. So kudos to the team at Blaze for keeping the user interface as is. Now, looking at the features offered by Blaze AI, starting with the home tab on the left, I really like here how they offer a little synopsis or snapshot right off the top of how my content has been performing lately. You can click see full report. This gives you more details, what's upcoming. You can click tabs here to go various places within the platform. But if I keep scrolling down on the home tab, you'll notice this is where they house the analytics, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, X or Twitter, Google Analytics, WordPress, MailChimp, whatever platforms you decide to integrate with Blaze AI, this is where you can find the analytics. And while these aren't perfect and no third-party social media analytics option is perfect, I do like how you do get some analytics within Blaze versus a lot of AI tools and even a lot of social media schedulers out there. They don't offer analytics at all. And so I like that addition of analytics that Blaze offers within its platform. One little nitpicky thing here is that this can easily be hidden. I don't see an option for analytics anywhere on the left-hand side, whether that's on the bottom or on the top. So that's a little nitpicky thing. I just wish the analytics were more visible on the left-hand menu. So the next feature on the left here is Calendar, and this is one of the best features that Blaze AI has to offer, in my opinion. I really like the interface of their social content calendar. It just gives you a good holistic overview of what's coming up in the future, what have you posted in the past. If you want to go in here and ever edit anything, so if I click, edit this draft, and then takes me into the editor where I can decide what platforms do I want to post it on, edit the design, edit the caption. I can go back to the calendar right here. You can ask Blaze with their little AI assistant on the left-hand side to help you with a particular social post. So I'm going to go back to the calendar. I just think the calendar is really awesome, right? There's a lot of other AI tools, social media tools out there. Yes, they do provide calendars, but in terms of just functionality and user interface, I do like this and what Blaze offers. You can also do different views like a list view or a 5-day view. You can filter it by different channels, different accounts, post status. You can create different projects. So I just wanted to quickly say here that the calendar functionality is one of my favorite features that Blaze offers. Now, going through the rest of the features here quickly, you'll notice paid ads is in beta mode. So this is a brand new feature that Blaze is adding where we can now connect our Meta Ads account into the platform. You'll see I have not done that, but I would imagine that eventually they'll roll this out to maybe Twitter ads or Google ads or other ad platforms as well. So that's kind of cool just to have it housed as an all-in-one solution versus going back and forth between different tabs. And if I click brand plan, that's the next feature. This is a brand new feature within the Blaze Autopilot platform that was not available in the Copilot platform. So this gives you a high-level overview of each week of what your social content is going to look like. Now, you can look at this on the calendar for sure. So if I filter this out and do the week view, you can definitely look at this from the calendar side of things as well, and not just the brand plan. But for instance, let's say I click edit topics for this particular week of December 2nd through the 8th. Well, what I can do is I can come in here and I can, limit how many posts on Instagram or how many posts on Facebook or Twitter or whatever other individual posts that I want to edit here. I can edit the topics or use Blaze AI to regenerate those topics for me. I can, edit the short form video if I want to add short form video to any of these posts. I can edit blogs if I want to add, certain or subtract certain blogs for a particular week. Same with emails if you're using MailChimp and integrated there. So this really adds the human in the loop element to it, where if you don't want to let AI or Blaze completely run the show for your social platforms, you still have the option to come into this brand plan and edit topics on a weekly basis. And lastly, the brand kit feature is probably the most important feature that Blaze AI has to offer. This is how we ensure, especially with Blaze going from Copilot to Autopilot, that our outputs on social media are high quality and reflect our brand. This involves adding our website. This involves adding any images, logos, colors, fonts. So if I click brand profile, it adds any other relevant details to help train Blaze on what our brand is. Like I said, logo, adding colors, fonts, typography, language, emotions, tone, purpose, who's my target audience. Even with content preferences, I can get granular enough in here where I can come in and add words and phrases to avoid, topics to avoid, going over different blog keywords, URLs, hashtags. So we really want to make sure that this brand kit is dialed in. And that was important on the Copilot version of Blaze, but this is way more important on the Autopilot version of Blaze, where they're going to use their AI technology to essentially scrape your brand kit and come up with content that way. So we want to make sure that the brand kit is extremely dialed in. And just some miscellaneous features to go over quickly. If you want to add a project, you can click this icon on the left-hand side. You can join the Blaze AI community down here in the bottom left. You can invite team members to your workspace. You can add integrations right here. I like this quick little integrations menu versus trying to find it on the interface and scrolling through some things. So this gives you a high-level view of what's connected. If you want to disconnect things, connect to more services. They added Go High Level, which is cool to see. They also added Zapier, so you can get a Blaze API key for Zapier, if that makes sense in your particular use case. Help and Learn Blaze. So they have a really in-depth help center. They also have what's called Blaze Academy to help you learn and master this platform. And they also offer 24/7 support, which is cool. If I click my profile icon on the top right, you'll see the Blaze Academy and a lot of other features like you can find in the bottom left. If I click Switch Workspace, if you have more workspaces, that's where you would do that. You can update billing here. And if I click Settings, and under Ryan's workspace, if I click General, you can update your dashboard to a different name, a different color. You can add a different logo here, and you can actually disable Autopilot if you want from this menu, which I don't necessarily recommend doing because then you're just going back to the old version of Blaze AI and paying a lot more for that. So just keep that in mind if you want to disable Autopilot. You can add members, change billing, security, right? You can, edit your notifications if you want to do that, change profile settings, etc., etc. But those are just a few miscellaneous features I wanted to cover quickly with Blaze AI Autopilot. So now I'm going to show you how to set up a brand new Blaze AI Autopilot account step by step if you're interested in using this AI tool. And again, remember the first step here is to click the link in the video description or pinned comment below and simply click start for free. That way you can start your 7-day free trial. Now you're not going to see all these workspaces here. So what you would do is click create new Autopilot workspace. And then once you do that, you should eventually come to a screen that looks like this. And in this example, I'm going to be using a local home service business near me called CJ's Window Cleaning. They're an exterior cleaning company in Des Moines, Iowa. Not only am I friends with the owners, but I think in general, Blaze AI is well suited for local businesses just like this. So what I'm going to do is where it says enter your website, I'm going to drop my website right here. Obviously, English has the language. And if you don't have a website, you can continue without a website. Obviously, I'd recommend having a website in 2025. And if for some reason you ever need live help from the team at Blaze AI, they have an option right here. But I'm going to go ahead and click get started. And then once you give it your website, you're going to have to wait for a few minutes while Blaze AI is building a business overview and marketing strategy based on the analysis with its AI technology. So I'm going to skip ahead and wait till this part is complete. All right, so after a minute or so, Blaze AI created this brand profile after its analysis of my website, where it gives me a business overview, my identity, information on competitors, customer demographics, most popular products and services, why customers choose CJ's, the brand story. And the very first thing that I would recommend you do is I would read over most of this. I'm not saying just to quickly look at this and click looks good and let's move on to the next step. This is super, super important, especially in the autopilot era of Blaze AI, where they're looking at your original inputs and then creating content and marketing assets based on what you originally provide. So it's super important to to make sure that this information is 100% accurate. And if it's not, you'll notice an edit option right here. We can simply come in here and edit our business overview and positioning. You can use ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini to help you with this. You can do the same for demographics and all these other sections, but you want to make sure that this is 100% accurate. I did look this over and it is good for the most part. So for the purposes of this example, I'm going to go ahead and click looks good. Then it's going to analyze our visual identity, and now we're on the brand kit. And just like the brand profile from the previous step, we also need to ensure that our brand kit is dialed in and 100% accurate as well. As remember, Blaze AI Autopilot takes all of these inputs from our brand kit, from our brand profile, and then creates outputs based on the information and data that we feed it with. And so why I'm saying that is right here as I'm looking at this brand kit for the first time, I noticed that some of these colors are off. The social post fonts might be off. Maybe there's some images in here that I don't want, or images that I want to upload. Maybe my brand voice is off, right? And so a lot of companies will have their own brand kits or brand guides to start with. But if you don't, this is where you can use something like Google Gemini or ChatGPT to help with this step. This is very important versus just going through this as fast as possible so we can generate AI posts. That is not a good mentality to have. We want to slow down and make sure that this part is accurate. So you can come into Google Gemini, for instance, and type in, when I provide my logo and website, I need you to create a mini brand guide for my company based on my website. Include logo, colors, typography, sample marketing assets. So when I upload that logo and I add the URL right here, this is going to provide me with a color palette with the actual hex codes of those colors in my logo and website, typography, and some other information here. I'll leave that prompt in the video description below. And so what I mean by this and why this is important here, and so this hex code for the CJ's Royal Blue, I noticed that that blue is different than what Blaze showed in the social post colors right here. It doesn't match that blue of the logo, the lighter blue. So I can come in here and let's say, I still want this navy blue. I don't necessarily want this goldish color. I can come in here, change the color, and just like that. Or, you can come in here and add and edit whatever other colors you want. You can delete them, you can edit, reset the colors. But I'm going to do it at this for now and then click confirm colors. Now, if your logo's off, you can delete this, add the logo from your desktop, or if you have a file of your logo saved somewhere. If the fonts are off, you can come in here and edit the fonts right here. This is what they pulled from the site, but you can change it right here. I'm just going to leave the fonts as is. Images. If you have images that maybe you can pull from your company website, or you could go to your Google business profile, click see photos, click exterior, inside, whatever the relevant option is here for you, you can download photos from your Google business profile. If you don't have photos on your Google business profile, I'd recommend uploading those, but that's neither here nor there. So that's where you can get some photos right here. Come back to Blaze. What you can do is click confirm. Let's click edit, add media, and then you can add those images from your desktop right here. So I'm going to click confirm. What's really cool about this is Blaze actually pulled about 20-ish images that I think are extremely relevant to what CJ's does. I'm actually going to delete a few of these. We have some color palette images, some logos. You're going to have some junk here that they pull from the website that's not relevant. Then I'm going to click confirm. And then for the brand voice, I'm going to leave this as is for now, but I would highly recommend that you come in here and look at the purpose, the audience, the tone, the emotion, the character, syntax, the language, and make sure that this is completely dialed in before you go to the next step. For the purposes of this example, as I'm briefly looking at this, this does look good for what CJ's Windows cleaning is all about. So I'm going to click confirm. And then once your brand kit is good to go, we're going to go ahead and click continue. And then next is where we're going to integrate and tell Blaze what social media platforms we want to prioritize. And so for CJ's Windows cleaning, we want Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Twitter's not relevant to them. They have all the video platforms. They do have a website, obviously, but it's not on WordPress or Go High Level. So I'm going to click I'm using another platform. And if you do this, you'll have to copy and paste the blog post onto your CMS or website platform that you're using. For target keywords, all of these look good for the most part, but remember, I'm a local business, so I want to make sure I have those localized keywords in there as well, like window cleaning, Des Moines, exterior cleaning, if I could spell, exterior cleaning, Des Moines, and all these other keywords where I would want to add that local modifier, which is Des Moines, right? Obviously, you'd be different based on whatever you're doing here. I'm not going to do all of these. I just wanted to show you guys my thought process as I'm going through this. For email, I think they use Jobber, so I'm not going to obviously select MailChimp. I'm using another platform. And then ideal customers to focus on, homeowners seeking comprehensive cleaning services. Yes, yes, yes. So I'm going to leave that as is. If you want to add something else here, you can definitely do that. But I'm going to go ahead and click looks good. And then I'm going to skip ahead and wait till this next part is complete. So next, we're going to set up our weekly content strategy and schedule. Review topics for your first week. It's first going to ask if you want to cross-post your content across the multiple platforms. I would recommend doing that just to stay consistent across all platforms. So I'm going to leave this on always. Next, it's going to ask how many times do you want to post per week? Do you want to post once a day? Do you want to post 5 times a week, maybe Monday through Friday? So that's what I'm going to put it on, 5 times a week. This is on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, not video, just traditional posts with images. Then it's going to ask you for topics. So this is very important that you go through this topics list, and if there are any that aren't relevant to your target audience, maybe they don't reflect your branding as much as you'd like it to, you can definitely come in here and exit these, right? So local cleaning experts you can count on in Des Moines, quick tips to spot your gutter, behind the scenes of our pressure washing transformation. So they don't do a ton of solar panel stuff. I know that just from working with them. So like maybe I want to delete that one. Or maybe there's some that you have in mind where you can come up here, click add topic, and you can add your own topics right here. But this is something you can change as time goes on. You don't have to do this part right now. For short form video, do you want to post once a day? Do you want to post, 5 times a week? So I'm going to leave this at 5 times per week like I just did with the original social posts. And same with the topics. If something's not relevant to what you do, then definitely don't include it. Or if they're missing something, make sure to click add topic right here. So I'm going to why community-driven companies provide better service. The environmental benefits isn't super relevant. So like, for instance, I would just delete that. So I would recommend coming in here and looking at this very quickly and then delete the ones that don't make sense to what your business offers. For blogging, how many times do you want to write a blog post? Maybe 5 times a week. Again, same instance here with the topics. Same with emails. Do you want to write 3 emails a week, 5, 7? I would recommend starting at 1 email per week. That way you're not flooding people's inboxes and going straight to spam and whatnot. But the same applies to the topics here as well. So I'm going to leave this as is and then click generate content. And now Blaze AI Autopilot is going to generate content based on all of those inputs that I provided in the setup process. So now we're on the Blaze AI Autopilot dashboard, and you should see a screen that looks like this. So what do I need to do right now? Review this week's content, review next week's topic. Just click next, check Blaze every Monday. Just click next here. Brand kit equals your content DNA. This is just a reminder about the brand kit. Click next. Real humans, real help. This is just a message about their support if you get stuck. And then click next again. And then I'm going to go ahead and click see my first batch of content. And now it should go ahead and actually create content for CJ's windows based on all of those inputs that I just provided from my brand profile and from my brand kit. So I'm going to skip ahead and wait till this content generation is complete. All right, so you'll see Blaze AI Autopilot automatically filled out my content calendar with all these AI generated posts based on the inputs that I provided from prior. Now, if I click brand plan, you'll see this is the current week. So if you want to see the content for this current week, you would click see content. It would take you to the calendar. And here we can look day by day what posts are scheduled to go out. One thing I would strongly recommend that you do is if you're going to do this, I would highly recommend coming in here at least once a week and just having an overview of what content is scheduled to publish for that given week and weeks to come. And the reason I say that is maybe sometimes the images are off. Maybe sometimes the copy is off. Maybe sometimes these AI generated B-roll videos are off or don't make sense to what your business offers, right? So there's always going to be some nuance here, and it's never going to be 100% accurate letting AI just run the show. So there still has to be some element of human in the loop here if you want to generate a social media content strategy that actually drives engagement and moves the needle, in my opinion. But that is a quick calendar overview. If we go into brand plan again, we can look at the next week. So if we click edit topics, this is where we can come in here and edit content for the next week, right? And then you can do this on and on and on. You'll see I'm on a free trial here. If I click upgrade and get to one of those monthly or 3 month, 6 month annual plans, you can schedule that out weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks in advance versus just 1 week like I'm showing right here. And then past weeks will appear down here once you've got some content out. The other thing too to note with the brand kit, so if I click brand kit, remember I set that up in the onboarding process. Well, if something changed, what you need to do here is go ahead and click images and videos. You can add more content to this brand kit within this option right here on the left-hand side. Maybe you want to change the copy of your business overview. Maybe something changed with your styles and choice or content preferences, right? So if something changes, it's super important that we come into the brand kit and we upload it with the most relevant and up-to-date information as possible. Now, all of this is great, but it obviously doesn't matter if we don't have our social media profiles connected. So what you would do to connect your social accounts, which is the next step here in setting up Blaze AI Autopilot, is from the brand kit, you could click this option right here, connect integrations, or if you don't see this for some reason, there's an integrations option on the bottom left. And here is where you can connect the individual platforms that make sense to whatever your business is doing. So if you have an Instagram business account, you connect that here, LinkedIn here, Facebook here, TikTok, etc. I don't have access to CJ's Windows social media accounts or website information, but if you were going to do this, you would first want to make sure that you're logged in to these platforms on the same web browser, and this process will be a lot quicker and easier for you. So Facebook, for instance, if you want to click connect, you would click connect here. They have a connection guide, which is good. Or if you have issues, you can reach out to Blaze AI for support. Click go to Facebook business. So you must be logged into your Facebook account on this particular web browser, and then you would click reconnect. Obviously, this isn't going to work since I don't have access to their social pages, but I'm trying to show you guys what you would do if you do have access to these social media accounts. And then once all of your relevant accounts are integrated, I'd recommend going back to the calendar and then just double checking that these are the social profiles that you want to create content on. So that is the next step here, is to make sure that your social profiles are integrated correctly. So this is all great, and Blaze AI is still one of the better AI marketing tools that exist today, in my opinion, but there are a few things that I do not like about this AI tool that I need to cover in this review. Number one being the obvious increase in pricing. It was at $34 a month, and now it starts at $65 a month to even get started with Blaze AI. Yes, I understand there's still a 7-day free trial, which I really like. Yes, I understand that there's more features now. And also, yes, I understand this is Autopilot versus the predecessor of the Copilot version. But where a lot of people get confused here is they look at Blaze as some apples to apples comparison with a ChatGPT Plus, for instance, which costs $20 a month. And honestly, for most AI beginners, I always recommend to start with a premium version of one of the big three: ChatGPT Plus, Claude Pro, or Google AI Pro, which has the Gemini models, obviously. I would always recommend getting one of those before we go down a rabbit hole of AI tools like Blaze and invest $65 a month. So that is the first thing I needed to call out here as a downside, is that obvious increase in pricing. And when you're comparing it as apples to apples versus a ChatGPT Plus, for instance, I always recommend going with ChatGPT Plus first and then investing in Blaze AI if it makes sense to what you're doing. Now, another thing I don't necessarily like about Blaze AI, I called this out in my first review of Blaze, and this honestly applies to most AI SaaS tools, is the lack of transparency when it comes to around what AI models are being used in the background to create content. I understand if you're a small business owner and you're just looking to get something published, it doesn't matter, but there's a big difference of someone who's in the weeds of AI every single day between a ChatGPT 5.1, a Claude Sonnet 4.5 versus the mini versions of those models. And I don't know what Blaze AI is using in the background, but a lot of times these SaaS tools will use mini versions of AI models to save costs on the API side of things. So that is one quick thing I do do want to call out, as I'm in the editor here for a blog post, for instance, I don't see any way to go in here and alter or change what AI models that are currently being used, whether they're GPT models, Claude models, Gemini models, Grok models, etc. There's just no transparency both within the platform and on the front end, on the pricing page and website overall, of what AI models Blaze is using behind the scenes to generate content. And the last thing I have to call out about Blaze AI as a downside is their messaging around the term autopilot or AI that does marketing for you. And they're not the only ones guilty of this. Most AI marketing tools have verbiage that sounds like this, where essentially all you need to do, guys, is click a few buttons and let AI run the show while everything is on autopilot. And that is not the reality here. The reality is anything that moves the needle in the real world, whether that's driving engagement, drives leads via emails and phone calls, or drives revenue, there still needs to be a human in the loop that knows what good looks like in order for something to actually convert. So one thing that I do like that Blaze offers, I know they're big on this autopilot thing, is if I come in here, I can not only edit each individual post, that's very tedious though, is that they offer this brand plan where I can come in here and edit topics. I can alter the different things that I want to talk about with videos, blogs, emails, social media posts. So they do offer a human in the loop capability still, like they had on their Copilot version, but I just do not like the marketing and messaging that a lot of these AI tools like Blaze AI use, where all we have to do, guys, is let's sit back, let's sit on the beach, and it's autopilot. AI is going to do everything for us. The big X factor there is quality, right? Anything that moves the needle in the real world still needs a human involved in the loop that knows what they're doing, that knows what good looks like. So I needed to call that out before we just think that Blaze AI is a silver bullet to all of our problems on the content creation side. So the last point I want to make about Blaze AI is who I think this tool is ultimately for. And I think there's really a couple big segments here. Number one is that local small to medium sized business owner that knows they need a consistent social media presence, but A, doesn't have the time as they're slammed 24/7 with their business, or B, doesn't want to hire an agency or a freelancer for $5,000 to $10,000 a month to manage it. And so think of a company like a CJ's Windows Cleaning, right? Like I did in the previous example. That is a good example of a local business. Or your local HVAC company, your local plumber, auto shop, tire shop, right? Businesses like that. Another segment that could benefit from Blaze AI are your content creators, coaches, or maybe even solopreneurs who are extremely busy doing the day-to-day of what their business is, but also don't want to hire some expensive agency to manage their social media presence. Sure, agencies could be another segment that use Blaze AI, but I think those first two are really the big two. Now, I'm a solopreneur, and you might be asking, well, Ryan, do you use Blaze AI to run your social media content? And my answer to that is no. For full transparency, I use an automation within Make.com paired with a tool called Blatato. I'll leave the full tutorial in the video description below, and this is going to be a bit more technical than the average person who's wondering, should I use Blaze? Should I use this automation that Ryan is showing me right now? And the reason that I'm using this over Blaze AI is there's a lot more human in the loop involved. Yes, it took a lot of work to set up, but it's now really on autopilot. There, I said the word autopilot, but this ensures that this is high quality footage of long form content that I've actually done or being repurposed with my clone. I have a full video editor in this entire process. I'll leave this full tutorial in the description below. I just know that for what I'm doing, and I understand this stuff more than the average local business owner who has no time to even think about social media, that is who Blaze is best suited for, in my opinion. But anyways, if you've made it this far into this in-depth review of Blaze AI, I truly appreciate you. If you found any form of value here, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, also leave me a comment below. Do you use Blaze AI? Are there any other AI marketing tools that you guys are using to run your social media accounts? Really want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. But most importantly, I hope you all have a great day.